השיר על השם, השיר על השם. שיר על השם כי גמל עליי, השיר על השם, השיר על השם, השיר על השם כי גמל עליי, השיר על השם, השיר על השם, השיר על השם כי גמל עליי, השיר על השם, השיר על השם, השיר על השם כי גמל עליי.
مثل آهو که در بیابان تشنه آب است، مثل آهو که در بیابان تشنه آب است. جان من تشنه وجود توست ای خداوند. جان من تشنه وجود توست ای خداوند، ای خداوند.
Welcome and good evening, friends here in New York City and friends with us online, wherever you are. I know we have people watching on the island of Lesbos and in Jerusalem, in Los Angeles and in Berlin. This is our holiest night of the year, the night of atonement. Some of us choose to go barefoot in acknowledgement of our gravity. So if you feel so inclined at some point this evening to take off your shoes and feel the earth, this holy, indigenous earth that we are guests on, you are welcome to do so. I'm also going to ask you tonight to please make sure that our beloved digital devices are completely off. This is a perfect moment to turn yourself on and your phones off. We ask you to not take photos or videos during this worship opportunity and to be as present as you can. You can text about it later and stay later to take photos of this magnificent altar and of each other and of anything that fills you with awe. I invite you to breathe. Singing is just an excuse for breathing. And breathing is an excuse for singing. And both are an excuse for being. And we'll do a lot of that tonight and tomorrow. So fill your lungs right now as we let go of all that we need to let go of and take on new vows tonight, as we are called upon to be more present. As we begin this night of Kol Nidre, it is with deep gratitude that I want to acknowledge every single person on this stage and off stage and behind the stage, the many, many hands that make this evening and these holy seasons possible, and every single one of you for showing up. So let's begin tonight with gratitude and maybe with another breath, and feel your hearts, and welcome back. As we come back here tonight, as we and many of us here have come for many nights, and it's really wonderful to recognize a lot of faces. We want to light the candles that mark this holy night and help us pray for peace and remember our loved ones. So we want tonight to invite some of our Israeli family members who are here tonight, because in Israel tonight on Yom Kippur, we're not only standing in the reverence of this day of awe, but also with a memory of the war that took place on this day some years ago, and all those who fell all over the world trying to make peace happen. So I want to invite Dvir to join us up here, and your wife Sally, who just arrived from Israel, and my sister Chen, who is visiting, to please join us up there on the stairs, and then come up here to help us light the candles with a mother's prayer for peace. And the mother's prayer for peace that is on the slide here, that some of you know, but maybe not all, was composed about 6 years ago, when there was yet another round of violence between Israelis and Palestinians. So a Muslim and a Jewish faith leader, both women, both mothers, came together to compose this prayer of the mothers for peace. I had the honor of translating the English. So tonight, Sally and Chen and Vil, I invite the mothers here to help us lead this blessing, and then we're going to light the candles for our dead ones, for our live ones, for this holy day.
בואו נאיר נרות שלום, שתי אמהות ובקשה אחת, שדווקא עכשיו, בימי הבחייה הגדולה האלה, בימים המקודשים לדתות שלנו, בשישי ובערב שבת, נדליק בכל בית נר לשלום. נר שמבקש פני עתיד, פני אדם, נר שצולח גבולות ואימה מבתי המשפחות ומבתי התפילה שלנו. נעיר זה לזה, והנרות יהיו מגדלור לרוחנו, עד שנבוא אל היכל השלום.
אמן.
So I feel very, very honored to be here with you tonight and to share this next prayer. And I want to share something from my tradition, from the community where I grew up. This is like pticha, hakdama for Kol Nidrei. And traditionally, the one who prays this prayer in this opening of this Day of Atonement, of this great day, is the oldest member of the community. And try to imagine that, this guy, pretty old, stands and walking to the Duchan, to the Bima, and on the way here is already crying his heart out. And try to imagine that he doesn't know whether he's going to be there the next year. So 2 years ago it was my grandfather, and 1 year before it was someone else. So I want to dedicate this prayer for the generations that came before us, to all the traditions, to my tradition, and I want to start by asking forgiveness. We are courageous enough to move away from tradition in a way and to create our own tradition, and it's beautiful that we're doing so. But in the same breath, I want to give thanks to my ancestors for holding this tradition and passing it on to me so I can create my own unique and new version of it. I would love it if you join me for this prayer.
השיבני ואשובה ותרסעת תשובתי השיבני ואשובה
Shiveni ve'ashuva. This is the ancient cycle that we're invited to penetrate again. Who starts the action of return? My inner self, my higher self, that thing that we call God. How do I wake myself up, or do I respond to the invitation? So those of you perhaps new to Lab Shul might not know that we are God optional, which means we leave you the option of metaphor. However you show up here tonight, within you are the questions and the answers and the metaphors. And we, like Dvir said, have the privilege of borrowing from our ancestors the liturgy and the technology of waking up and coming home. Let's use it with as much reverence and as much presence, and making it our own. And on this night, this opening Yemenite hymn leads us into Kol Nidre, the ritual of all our vows. Kol Nidre, all of our vows, is a ritual of dubious origins, but it has become the big night when everybody shows up. Here we are. And it is an opportunity to look ourselves in the mirror, in each other's eyes, the ones we know and love and trust, and say, I have messed up. I was an overachiever. I made a lot of promises, and some of them have not been kept. I disappointed me and others. I tried. I'm back. Let's try again. It's longer, and it's in Aramaic, and we're going to say it 3 times, as is our custom, which makes it a ritualistic and legalistic binding statement of releasing us from vows, where we have made them consciously or not, so we can stand here again, rising above our usual autopilot nonsense, because it is that kind of night, and this is this kind of year for us to do that. So we're going to invite some of our community friends to come up here and help us open the ark in just a second. We are starting a new tradition tonight. We've so much enjoyed welcoming our 13-year-olds to their Bi Mitzvahs. We figured, why only tweens? Let's expand the notion of becoming. Let's create rituals all year round for all ages. So tonight, we are inaugurating our Generate group, our cohort of boomers and beyond, who will be spending this year with me and with each other and with teachers and coaches to think about aging and co-create a rite of passage for what it means to become at any stage and age of life. So we are honored to invite our Generate group. About a dozen or more of you have signed up so far. There are a couple slots if you are interested. And there is an application process. This is heavy stuff. I want to invite our Generate friends to please come join us here on stage to open the ark, to help us take the Torah scrolls. We have 2 tonight. One, the Lab Shul one, and I want to thank you for our friends Joyce and Steve for lending you yours for the night. And I'm going to invite our Maven trainers and Bi Mitzvah trainers, David and Yoni, to be right at the foot of the bima to help take those Torahs around so they will circulate around this holy sanctuary as we, in just a moment, open the ark and ask you to rise. And the Torah scroll might come to you, in which case, give a squeeze with as much love as you can to all traditions, and pass it on. So take a breath now, friends. Be focused within. What are the vows you need to release tonight? What is it you need to let go of? Get ready. Let's do this seriously, with open hearts.
בישיבה שלמעלה ובישיבה של מטה על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל הקדוש הזה אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבריינים.
So now that the Torah scrolls are out and our Generate group is up here to take this time of taking this vow seriously, of this journey, I invite you to stay up here on the stage, on this bima, as our Torah scrolls begin to go around. We will recite the Kol Nidrei 3 times. Jeremy is going to play for us our heart's strings melody. Dvir is going to lead us in the Yemenite version, and then we're going to sing it all together in your well-rehearsed Aramaic. So I invite you to really go inside and ask yourself, what vow am I releasing? What of this past year am I ready to let go?
כל נדרה وسوي وحرمه وكنومه وكنوه وكنوسه دين ذارنا وذي اشتبرنا وذي حرمنا وذي أسرنا على نفشتنا ביום הכיפורים שעבר על יום הכיפורים הזה כולו נתחרטנו בו כולו יהון שורן שביתין ושביתין, בטלין ומבוטלין, לא שרירין ולא קיומין. נדרנו לא נדרה, ואסורנו לא אסורה, ושבועותנו לא שבועותינו.
ועשרי וחרמי וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי ושבועות ודאי השתבנה ודאחרימנה ודאסרנה על נפשתנה מיום כיפורים שעבר עד יום כיפורים זה כולהון הכרתנה בהון כולהון יהון שרן שוויקין שוויתין בטלין ומבוטלין לשרירין ולקיימין נדרנה לא נדרי ואסרנה לא אסרי ושבועתנה לשבוע as we stand here, each of us with our own baggage, privately, collectively, whatever we take responsibility for in this night, so we can be part of what it makes and what it takes to be a little better. May these released vows feel a little lighter so we can take new ones starting right now. So friends, we have designed this plan and you are our pilot project. And so we invite you right now to sing with us Shehecheyanu, for being alive and well right here and right now and starting this journey on this night together. May this vow of coming of age, becoming every stage, bring upon you and all of us a year of growth and fantastic learnings and intimacy and fun. In a year, we'll stand here again. And we invite the Torah scrolls back. I don't know where you are and where you are held. They will be here tomorrow, all day, with more opportunities for you to interact with the relics and with the icons and the objects of our heritage. So Torahs, start making your way back from the upstairs and the downstairs. If you did not get a chance to hold her, our apologies. Next year we'll get 5. If anyone has one that wants to donate, talk to me later, even for a loan. So think of where you were this year and where you are right now and what it means to say, I'm here. What a journey. I'm alive. You're invited to sit down. B'dechilu v'rechimu, with the intention of awe and love. Familiar and new friends here and online. Many of us gathered right here 10 nights ago to begin this new year together. begin the 10 days of Teshuvah. Teshuvah, the Hebrew word that means return, to best, to better. Teshuvah, the word that means response to the questions that keep us up at night. We talked just 10 days ago about our journey from moral injury to moral repair. What it's like and what it means to be a human being or an American at this moment on the planet with moral injury, with feeling what it's like to have so much going on in our name that keeps us up at night. How do we go on this journey, each one of us, and this community and this country, from moral injury to moral repair? This roadmap starts with the questions, those big questions that are in the introduction to your programs, that are hopefully still in the air. Why am I here? Why are we here? In this room tonight, in this body, on this planet, in the job you've got, in the family you've got. What is our purpose? What is your goal? Big questions. This is not the night for kibitzing, and I know you did not come here for the bagels. It's not that kind of night. So we're asking questions. And tonight, Teshuvah, response, reply, is an invitation to try and do that. And so I'll try and give a tentative response, a very personal suggestion for one way for thinking about why am I here, and maybe why we are here now. Let's start with here. With this year that was and this one that is just starting. Our eyes tonight on the Supreme Court and the day it had, and what's at stake with this attack, potentially, on the lives of dignity of LGBTQ plus people in this country, me and us and many of us. The attacks on human rights that we know about are part of a systemic and pervasive method that we are all much more aware of in these last few years. This was the year for many such attacks and many much worse. This was the year of Pittsburgh and San Diego. Our Jewish family gunned down at worship on Shabbat, on Passover. Mosques attacked in New Zealand. Churches in Sri Lanka on Easter Sunday. 315 people killed in those 3 attacks alone. And the list is longer than what we have time tonight. ISIS took responsibility for 1, and 2 white men claimed white supremacy as their excuse. And these, again, are but a few of many. Hatred of the other, racism, plain fear are the dots that connect those and other crimes that impacted us one way or the other this past year and continue to do so. All over the world. This isn't new, but this is growing. This was the year that racist hatred of the other was granted public political stand in Israel. With all the good news, all the hope, just 7 months ago, before the first election cycle, who even remembers, the union of right-wing parties was created, which included Otzma Yehudit, Jewish Power, a neo-Kahanist, racist party with an ideology that promotes and prioritizes Jewish blood over that of others. Exactly that. This was a dangerous normalization of Jewish racial supremacy. This was a fringe but not tiny public opinion that received the approval or silence of nearly all the Israeli right-wing and Orthodox communities, with notable exceptions. The good news is that Otzma Yehudit failed to enter the Knesset in the April elections, and when it went on its own just this past month, also did not make it in. That should and shouldn't matter. The voices that support such Jewish racism are fringe, but they are not few. In the aftermath of the Tree of Life Synagogue massacre in Pittsburgh, almost a year ago, the worst act of violence in our American Jewish history, there were plenty of Jews, Israelis as well as Americans, who whitewashed the direct connection between this administration's embrace of white supremacy and the rise in anti-Semitism, racism, misogyny, queerphobia, and anti-immigration violence. This might not be us, and I'm not sure who us is in this room, on the screen, but it includes us, and we are implicated. This was the year of kids in cages, and it still is. This was the year when the use of the term concentration camps was debated, but not the facts of their existence. This is the year when black lives still are under daily attacks and black lives still matter. Big questions. This was the year we celebrated 50 years since Stonewall with a lot of pride. And while the fight goes on for more. This was the year we started preparing for 2020. Not just the elections, but the women's vote 100 years later. A lot to celebrate and mark. This was the year that I learned, and many of us have, about the year 1619. 400 years ago in August, a ship landed on the shores of this country with 20 to 30 women and men from Africa, what's now Angola. They were the first to set foot on this land and begin the story of American slavery, intertwined with American history. I'm deeply grateful to the New York Times for their 1619 project that I'm sure many of you have seen and read and took to heart, that this past August invited us to understand just how complicated still this journey is. It opened my eyes to the many unseen layers of my own privileged participation in these ongoing narratives of systemic oppression. As a white, Jewish, gay man in this country, with where I pass and where I don't, and where I am responsible, as many of us are. Again, acknowledging that there are in this room so many of us with so many different narratives and stories. This community and all our guests, whoever is online, folks that are here keeping our security and welcoming us, we are all in this together with different angles of entry and responsibility. Nicole Hannah-Jones, the 1619 Project's visionary creator, writes in the opening essay, It was the relentless buying, selling, insuring, and financing of black bodies and the products of their labor that made Wall Street a thriving banking, insurance, and trading sector, and New York City the financial capital of the world. This is where we live. This is our home. No matter how liberal, how much we do, how do we benefit from that? What is our responsibility? In the Washington Post, Michael Gerson, not the super liberal, reviewed the conservative response to the 1619 Project, echoes the discomfort many of us felt while really delving and leaning in. He writes about Thomas Jefferson and says, "It should unsettle us that the author of the Declaration of Independence built a way of life entirely dependent on human bondage while writing it. America's story," he writes, "is not one of initial purity and eventual decay. It is the story of a radical principle, the principle of human equality, introduced into a deeply unjust society." How do we rise today to that? About 50 years ago, James Baldwin, an African-American, queer, author, activist, prophet. There's a street named for him 2 blocks from where I live in East Harlem. And I say hi to him every day when I go to the subway, aware of where I live and the responsibility, and kind of bummed he's not my neighbor. So I get to meet him through his writings. And he wrote, "From my point of view, no label, no slogan, no party, no skin color, and indeed no religion is more important than the human being." 50 years after he wrote this, after Dr. King and Malcolm X, after Obama, are we remotely even walking this talk? Yes, us, the do-gooders, the liberals who lean in, how much are we still implicated in the systemic system of oppression and privilege that we are part of? I asked myself this question as I read and kept on reading and listening to those essays and monologues, historical and personal reflections this past summer. And it took me to a night 6 months ago and to a place of my own responsibility. And so I want to share that with you tonight. This is a moment of confession, of Ashamnu, on this holy night of truth, into repair. I hope this will offer me and us a glimmer of potential transformation. 6 months ago, on the full moon of spring, the holiday of Purim, how many of you were with us at the House of Yes? I see a bunch of hands. Well, I was there as well. And Purim, as many of you know, has always been my big go-to. My drag career is infamous, although at present retired. And over the years, I enjoy taking Purim seriously and becoming other, really pushing myself to spend a night or a day in the shoes of another so I can understand what it means to be another, because Purim is about becoming someone else. The mystics say that at the end of time, there will only be 2 Jewish holidays on our calendar. That's when the Messiah comes. God help us. Whatever, at the end of time, the 2 holidays that will survive are Purim and Yom Kippurim. This one and that one. Why? One is about getting drunk and putting on masks until you do not know the difference between right and wrong and good and bad, through intoxication and the mask that blurs identity. And this tonight, we fast. We ask hard questions, Both are about transformation and truth from totally different directions. And so 6 months ago, on this Purim night, the team did great. Ezra, all of you rocked it. I had a lot going on. I was like, listen, I'm not going to be in the show this year. I'm just going to show up. I'll find some mask. Don't cast me. It's going to be okay. I wanted to blend in, just to have an invisible identity. I didn't quite think thoroughly what I ended up doing, to both make a statement about being someone else and experiencing the other, and just putting on something that will help me hide. And so what I did was, I wore a niqab, a Muslim woman's head covering that only leaves the eyes, in dark purple, that I bought in a shop not far from my house, with a black robe underneath. I thought I'll be pretty much invisible and nobody will know that I am who I am. So Zafir is laughing. Yeah, Habibi, not my brightest moment. I was recognized instantly, and many were not pleased. Those of you here, thank you for accommodating and for the occasional hug. There were raised eyebrows and there was rage. There were people truly upset. I left early. Next day there were emails, less than 10, but they were long, and they were smart, and they were angry, and I was mortified. I really, really messed up. I was called a misogynist, an Islamophobe, a racist. I was accused of the equivalent of blackface. My rabbinate was questioned, my humanity, my good taste, my common sense. I can explain at length, and I did in that letter, why and what is Purim for me, but the fact is that I crossed a line. A line that maybe a decade ago I wouldn't have thought of, but today it's different. We're living in more sensitive times, and we are learning. My blind spot is a learning curve. And that, thanks to help with our PR friends, that crisis went away without any major damage, but there are people there still mad at me, and I know that. And so tonight I want to apologize. If any of you there or there were hurt, disturbed, upset, I'm sorry. It was a major blind spot and a learning curve. And I know now, I hope, how to walk that delicate walk between irreverence and reverence, and Purim and Yom Kippurim, and find those ways of awe. Because what happened on that Purim was awe, not awesome, but awful, but truth, in the way that art can do, and life can do, and truth can do. Hopefully towards transformation. This is but one tiny example of a much more serious and harmful system of denial of dignity, of the oppression of other, of racism, of hatred, of ignorance, that we are all aware of and at times part of, even with our best intentions. A word about blackface that after last Purim I really researched. Blackface is what might knock Justin Trudeau's election off the rails in Canada, even though Governor Ralph Northam of Virginia seems to hold on to his seat. Blackface goes back to the 1820s, what were minstrel shows, often with white entertainers assuming the black experience. It was popular, and Lincoln went to some, and Mark Twain. Today, taboo. We are growing, learning curves. Jews had a lot to do with blackface. and showbiz. And it is just a symbol of a much more complex racial relationship and the very least cultural appropriation. In 1927, Al Jolson and the jazz singer, the first talkie, comes out with blackface. He sings Kol Nidre. It's the second track ever in a Hollywood film to be heard. The movie is about Yom Kippur. Al Jolson did blackface. Everybody did back in the 20s. Fast forward to 1982. Neil Diamond, the third version of the jazz singer. Blackface. 1982. Neil Diamond's career did just fine. 1984, shortly after, Ralph Northam puts on blackface or a KKK hood, depends who you ask, because that's what you did 30 years ago. 2010, we were still storytelling before Lab Shul. After Kol Nidre worship, we screened the jazz singer, the 1982 version, all of it. I do not recall us stopping or pausing to reflect on the fact that this scene was in it. And that would not happen now, even if we had a long conversation before and after, because there is a learning curve in how we rise. But Ashamnu, we did this. Blind spot, learning curve. When it comes to our participation in what we know as racism, this is not the opportunity to delve deep, but to raise this high. It is a white issue, a Jewish issue, an American issue. It is at the core of so much of what's going on here, intersectional, interconnected, global, and specifically right here. And the question is, with this blind spot, what do we do about it? How do we rise? And that's when awe comes in. The awe that could be awful and the awe that could be awesome. That awe we feel when something meets us that is grander than our petty little selves. How do we move from awful to awesome? From injury to repair, taking into account whatever moments we have messed up or are not looking at, understand what they are, and try and move a little closer to the ideals we know we want to live by. Abraham Joshua Heschel taught us, awe is an intuition to the dignity in all things. The dignity of all things, all people. And the Zohar, our Jewish mystical text, teaches us from the Middle Ages. It's in page 24 in your booklets. You can look later among your many sources. That when we approach these delicate topics of humanity and its abuse, of spirituality and its use, of being human, we must do so with two roses. The two roses that flutter inside of us. One rose is awe and the other rose is love. And you gotta have both roses, this teeny bouquet, in order to rise above and wake up love. B'dechilu v'rechimu, says the Zohar. With awe and love, you can rise below and above. So it's this awe of taking this seriously that I invite us into, and the love, not anger, with which we are invited to tackle this tonight, tomorrow, this year. Because so much is at stake. And this is where we are right now. Awe to get us to be more present. Notice what is really going on and love to breathe us into next. Less fear and more commitment. And so I want to close with Toni Morrison, who's passing. Many of us mourn this year, who wrote, "You are your best thing." I look at you, take a look around. You are your best thing. And we can do this. 400 years later, 50 years later, 400 years next. What does it mean to be our best thing? To return to our best and better as individuals and as a country, at least as this community. Earlier this fall, a few of us spent 3 days with the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond to learn about undoing racism. A tough 3 days. And we will invite our board and our team and all of you throughout the next 2 years to engage in ongoing conversations about our responsibility to this generational task of undoing racism. It won't happen in a day. It won't happen in a night. Many of you already engaged in this. And for many, this is personal. It is for all of us. Later this spring, we'd like to take a trip together to Alabama. And we'd love you to visit. Come with us to pay our homage and to learn at the Legacy Museum from enslavement to mass incarceration. Just opened this past year. And it's on us. This big election year that's coming up, how will we meet it? With our hearts and with our heads and with action and with determination, with our awe and with our love. So the response to the big questions, why am I here? Why are we here on this night of Yom Kippur 2019? My humble answer is to fix. We are here to repair what we've inherited from our ancestors with love and damage so we can fix. This is tikkun. This is the work of generations, and we are invited to rise to this challenge right now. We can't fix all, and not all will heal the past. We cannot stop climate crisis, but we can slow it down and make things better for all of us. And more about that later tonight when we meet for the last straw, when we are done here. We can't stop the human heart from hurting, but we can educate and learn and grow how to be less fear-based and tribal-focused, and how to get rid of racism in Israel, in the US, in our hearts, in our minds. So the response is to live our full lives with integrity. And if we can, to rise. I'll end with this poem that asks, why bother? Because right now, there is someone out there with a wound in the exact shape of your words. And that is why we are here now. We are here b'dechilu v'rechimu, with awe and with love, to rise. So my friends, I invite us to rise.
בוא
אשר בדבר אמרים רבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים בתבונה, משנה עתים. ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם, ברקיע ירצונו. הוא מעביר יום, הוא מביא לילה, הוא מבדיל בין יום ללילה. אדוני אל חי וקיים תמיד, אם לא חלנו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב
We are chosen, not necessarily as a people, certainly not above other peoples, but chosen to live our lives with love. Love for ourselves, love for our skin, love for our gender and our gender expression and who we love, and their gender expression. Love for our faith, love for our world, and love for the potential of repair. We're all chosen for that.
ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בנו
שם כבוד מלכות לעולם ועד. שם כבוד מלכות לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
מי ייתן יא רבי القاه ويسعد قلبي يا قلبي بالنور ياه. لو فاتني يومين في قلبي سنين سودي وبعدك جناني.
Spread over us a roof of peace tonight. Spread over all of us a spread roof. A temporary roof.
פרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל כל יושבת תבל סוד חכמים ונבונים ומלמדת מבינים אפתח בתפילה ובתחנונים לחלות ולחנן פני רוח מלך מלכי המלכים ואדוני
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו אלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני. מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטעם בחלקי החיים בחסד, בחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים והופך רואים ומכיר
מי כמוך רחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני בחיי המתים.
אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו, ואל תתעלה מתחינתנו, שאין אנחנו עזי פנים וקשי עורף, נאמר לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אמותינו, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו, אבותינו אמותינו כולנו חטאנו.
I
massage our hearts, we hold them. Some like to beat them. We invite ourselves to accountability, but tenderly, with love and awe.
We acted from aggression. We benefited from or were burdened by a racist society. We gave too little. We denied difficult truths.
הבינו והרשענו
English. We're going to say it in English. So we're going to do it in English. It's real. It's real. Do it again. Evinu.
הבינו
We hogged the mic.
והרשענו
We viciously and vacuously gossiped.
זדנו
We zoned out.
חמסנו
We chose comfort too often.
טפלנו שקר
We took for granted. We yielded to precedent. We closed our minds. We lied. We made biased decisions. We neglected.
סררנו,
We stayed silent.
אבינו,
We engaged in environmental destruction.
פשענו,
We privileged the patriarchy.
צררנו,
We stood by when others were objectified.
קישינו עורף,
We kept too much for ourselves. We remained apathetic. We showed children we cared less for them than for guns. We thought of ourselves too much. We thought of ourselves too little. We took too long to shake off our naivete.
I'd like to invite up the members of our GNC group, gender non-conforming activists, to help us open the ark as we sing together Avinu Malkeinu, non-ironically. That patriarchal prayer we inherited, that we choose to take non-gendered and beyond the gendered, to be whatever sovereign or parent or spirit means to us. And while our group comes up, my friends, to open the ark, David, Jill, and Sam, yeah, open her up together. We want to invite David Broza, our beloved friend, to join us to give Avinu Malkeinu your special touch. And my friends, wherever you are tonight, as we are about to end and go into the latter part of tonight about our climate responsibility, this is a prayer, a plea to whatever ancestors are in your DNA, to whatever animates your best intentions. Think of one thing you are really asking for tonight, not for yourself, or also for yourself, for someone else, for all of us. Your best intention for this year that just began. Let those intentions fuel us with this music, with this open ark, beyond the binaries and everything that we inherited, to make this year the best one each and every one of us can.
Juliana,
invite Sarah Sokalik up here to the stage to help us as our flight begins its descent. We're all still invited to stay standing as we look around this co-created community and say Aleinu. This is on us.
Shana Tova. My name is Sarah Sokalik. I'm Lab Shul's Executive Director. On Rosh Hashanah Eve, I stood here to officially welcome you to the opening of our High Holy Day season. And tonight I'm here to offer gratitude to all of you who have said Aleinu. It's on us to co-create these High Holy Day events and our community at large. Lab Shul's definition of community is expansive. All of you here are considered our community. Whether it's your first time with Lab Shul here tonight or online, or if we are your high and holy destination for a once-a-year drop-in, or if you've taken the leap to support and benefit from Lab Shul year-round as part of our new partnerhood. You are our community because you own your system of beliefs. You are our community because you own who you are, the choices you make, and who makes up your family. You are our community because you are human. And it takes a lot of humans to co-create this everybody-friendly, God-optional, artist-driven pop-up community. So, on behalf of the entire professional team here at Lab Shul, that mighty, mighty little force that drives all of this, I want to express my deep gratitude to all of the volunteers who serve as our board members, to the volunteers who serve as our sacred space specialists who set up and break down and make name tags and fluff food and all of that, and to those who welcome others to our pop-up spaces, to the volunteers who sit behind the curtains at the sound stations and in the production booths, to the volunteers who host Shabbat meals, study salons, and Kaddish Club dinners, to the volunteers who organize our justice work here in New York, across the United States and abroad, and especially at the International School for Peace in Lesbos, Greece, to the volunteers who lend their educational, financial, ritual, programmatic, artistic, marketing, and organizational expertise, to the volunteers who help take care of the sick in our community, and to those of you who are fiercely dedicated to taking care of our planet, thank you. Aleinu. It's on us to take care of us because it takes a community to create a community. If we have not yet met, please come and introduce yourself to me. I usually am carrying a clipboard and wearing a headset, but not all the time, just here at Hammerstein Ballroom. I'd love to meet all of you and talk to you about what's important to you and why this community might be something that you want to invest in. I wish you all a sweet and happy New Year. Shana Tova.
And so as we wrap up, we're already invited into this room tonight by lighting the candle and this beautiful earth altar that our brother Day, our artist in residence, is co-creating throughout this Yom Kippur. It's a co-creation that will be manifested by the end of tomorrow night and then dismantled. Impermanence. We lit the candles in the altar and here on the stage for peace and in the memory of our loved ones. And this is the moment when we ask those of you who are honoring your loved ones, who are here in spirit, if it is your custom, when we say the Kaddish, prayer of peace and memory, if you are able to, please rise. And if it is your custom to stand along with those of us who say Kaddish, please do so. Stay where you are as we again chant in Aramaic, once our vernacular and now our language for special occasions, these words that end with a prayer for peace within and beyond. May all memories be blessings on this and every night. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברך רעותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו, יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי תקודשה, לעילה לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו, יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו, אמן.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל
In just a few moments, we are going to ask those of you who are hurrying home to catch up on your Netflix, because what else are you going to do on Yom Kippur night, to do so as quietly as you can, and please talk way outside. Many of us are going to stay right here for the last straw, a conversation about climate crisis and our response. Our friend Darren Aronofsky is here tonight with Ari Handel, his partner in creation, to share segments from the amazing TV show they created about the overview effect, One Strange Rock, and our responsibility to it. We have a youth activist from our community, a community organizer, an artist, and a healer who will help us have the real conversation about how do we not just take tonight for granted, but actually walk our talk. Tomorrow we are here from 9 a.m. for many options for all ages. We're going to end just before 2. In the afternoon, there are again multiple options for all ages, and we are meeting for our all-faith ritual with faith leaders right here at 5? At 4 p.m. We'll rise together to deal with everything we've talked about tonight, and we'll continue to talk about tomorrow. Please join us for that. It will be followed by Ne'ilah and by our breakfast, for which there are a few seats, I believe, available, so talk to folks in front. And finally, we're going to end this season way after Yom Kippur with Unscrolled in Brooklyn, the last day of Sukkot, to open our Torah scroll together and stand together up for justice. Please join us then as well. All the information in your books, but please don't leave yet, my friends. Everybody who's heading out, please not yet. Please stand where you are. Let's take a moment, end tonight with the intention we began. I invite you, if you feel comfortable, to hold on to the hand of someone standing next to you. So take a breath and wrap tonight with this intention, this kavanah, this prayer, that we are here for each other on this and every night.
Amen.
night on screens. Good night in here. Please leave here as quietly as you can. This is a real request right now. See you tomorrow. Please say outside Shana Tova to one more friend you are just meeting. Good night. All those of you joining us for last straw, please come sit as up front as you can. We will begin in 6 minutes. A little late, but right on time.